All right, welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by the Topoco Lodge, where adventure and sanctuary meet. If you are looking for a place to relax in a mountain setting by a beautiful river, visit Topoco.com. If you're looking for whitewater rafting, kayaking, mountain biking, visit Topoco.com. They've got it both. Whether you want adventure or sanctuary, you'll find it at the Topoco Lodge, the historic Topoco Lodge. Get up there and find out why so many of our viewers have checked them out and fallen in love with the place. It is special. Topoco.com and Topoco Lodge on Facebook will tell you a lot more. All right. Tennessee still ranks just 47th nationally, according to 247.com in their recruiting rankings. But the Vols picked up their third commitment this week from four-star quarterback Taven Jackson of Greenwood, Indiana. He's 24/7's 12th ranked pro-style quarterback. Very quickly, Josh, is this Heupel's beachhead? Is this the foothold? Is this a guy who is well enough known well enough that you can use him to build a class around? Is he that level of player?
I would not anticipate that.
Negative.
Right. We're tied 1-1 so far today.
Yes, so far.
I wouldn't compare him to like Ty Simpson, as Ty was an in-state prospect. So if he had committed to Tennessee, which it just wasn't going to work out that way, but then all of a sudden there's an impact within the state. That's not how this works. But he's a talented player, talking about Taven Jackson. He's also a quarterback. I think this is notable that the staff targeted very quickly after it didn't work out with Simpson and Horn and brought him in, and you still get him pretty early. So now having a quarterback in the fold, that helps. It's definitely not a negative. It helps in trying to sell what you're attempting to do next. Go after receivers, say, hey, we have our quarterback in the fold, join up with him.
Thoughts?
He did say the right things in that he wants to try to help put the class together. And that's what you want. You want your quarterback to be an alpha. You had to get one, start the building process around it. But I don't think he's quite on Simpson's level. But you need a quarterback, and at least you can get moving and address some other positions.
Well, and the fact that it's a quarterback, I think the four-star makes a difference too. I mean, you've got the position, and you've also got, people make such a big deal between the threes and the fours. Okay, you got a four, and I don't think that ever hurts your momentum a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Also, some other incoming bodies, which at this point, we'll see if some of these guys pan out or if they don't, but you're in the stage where you just need to add bodies, I think, because you've had so many leave, especially through the transfer portal. Let's take a look at some of these guys. UT added a defensive line transfer from Southern Cal this week, Caleb Tremblay. In 3 years with the Trojans, he played in 18 games, made 3 starts, recorded 21 tackles, 2 sacks. He's a body. Who knows what they can develop, but that doesn't sound like anybody that should be counted on as a tremendous addition. Rivals, you see the guy in the middle with the question marks, Rivals.com has said that Tennessee is now the leader for Texas linebacker Juwan Mitchell, who is transferring. Now, considering your need at linebacker and the fact that he has also started he's 18, he's played in 18 games, can't spit it out. He's played in 18 games just like Tremblay has, but he's got 99 total tackles. So that's a guy who may, if you land Mitchell, okay, that may be somebody that you can look to and say, I expect to see him make some plays out there. And then finally, as everyone expected, quarterback Joe Milton transferred in from Michigan earlier this week. His advisor told our David Ubben, who's of The Athletic, that he warned Milton that UT had other quarterbacks, and Milton said he wasn't worried because they're not Joe Milton. Okay, so aside from a guy who sat for 2 years at Michigan, won the starting job and then lost it, and who believes he's the second coming, aside from possible attitude issues, Joe Milton is expected to be, well, a lot of people expect he's going to be the starter. He wouldn't come down here if he weren't going to get the starting job. That's how people are viewing it. I've had people tell me that they would bet money that he's the guy. Your thoughts on the 3 guys they've added? Tremblay, Mitchell, or Mitchell's a question mark. Tremblay, Milton, and then may add Mitchell. Thoughts?
I'm sorry. I mean, the whole Milton thing, I mean, if he comes down here and he's great, that's fantastic. But I went back after we talked about him on last week's show, and then he said he's coming to Tennessee, and just went back and read some of the coverage of him. I'm just not terribly impressed by it. And if he does win your quarterback job, then that just tells you the recruiting that, once again, we've talked about for the past few years, especially, Harrison Bailey, 4-star guy. If he can come down here and between now and September win that quarterback job, I think that says a lot more about what you probably didn't have on your roster than what you did.
Bailey a 5-star, according to Rivals. I think he said
Well,
it was
okay, I'll
four-star
say
choice.
5-star in the next segment.
Yeah. But gentlemen, your thoughts on adding bodies, these bodies in particular? Anything?
Well, I think it is that on defense. If Mitchell does indeed come in at linebacker, which is the expectation, that's to me the biggest win because it's
Yes.
just such a huge concern
Yeah.
at linebacker. And he's been productive. If you look at those
Yep.
three players to this point, easily, Juwan Mitchell is the most productive. We'll have to be careful about overreacting to what one linebacker can do, but you have to have him. Tremblay adds help. I think Milton is a guy that will legitimately have a chance to compete for the starting job, and that could go through the season. Maybe he's not the starter in the opener. He could start later on. So I think he'll get a legitimate chance to start. I would not bet on him quite yet.
Yeah, I think Mitchell will be the surest thing to start out of that group because, like Josh mentioned, the need, the big time need there, and with the known productivity. Milton wouldn't be brought in if he didn't have a legit shot. Now, maybe, Josh, to your point, maybe that takes some time for him to catch up in the way they do things here. And how much did his situation in Michigan hold him back? Who knows? But at Tennessee, there is an opportunity there to start. I don't think he's as sure thing as Mitchell would be because of his productivity and that need.
And I agree with that. I think Mitchell would be a sure thing. And I think the defensive tackle from USC, you can go ahead. He may not start, but he's in the rotation.
Yeah, he'll play.
Yeah. Okay. When we come back, we talked about the good news. Now let's talk about a little bit of the bad news. And that is another departure from the 2021 class this week. 2 departures overall. But this 2021 class, it's going to haunt Josh Heupel in Tennessee for a few years to come, and we'll discuss a couple of reasons why. Come on back on the Sports Source.